Hey everyone, welcome to the Thrive After Divorce show, where we give you the skills to not just survive divorce, but thrive during and after divorce. And today we have a guest speaker on a topic that I think is so important. We have Sharlyn Schmitt. Welcome, Sharlyn.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Glass is here, and you are a certified trauma recovery coach. You are a loving mother of 6. Mine, his, and ours. I love that. We'll go into that. You're a trauma survivor yourself, a former educator, and you are Mrs. East Coast All-Star United States 2021. For those just listening, today is January 2nd, 2022. You just had to end your reign.
I did, yeah.
Wow. So, I'm going to let you jump in and say hello.
Hi, everybody. Yes, just to go off of that, it was a great year. I know we were talking a little bit about it before. Believe it or not, I had been asked to get into the pageantry, and I never really thought anything about it. I didn't know much about it, but I did it for my daughters. I did it to show them, like, just all it takes is one foot and step in front of the other one, and you can accomplish anything. The pageantry life and systems, what they show you is to, like, serve others, you know, go after what you want, like women empowerment. And that's what made me go back to school. I had been wanting to be a trauma recovery coach, kind of be in this to help women, to mentor women. I'd always been mentoring and I'd done different things in my past, but I wanted to, like, for real, you know, get certified. And because of the pageantry, that's what got me in. And I had done 2 years in the pageantry. So the people that I met, the things that I've been able to do just was, so I would recommend that to anybody. Like, that's, you know, one of those goals. It's like, what? But just do it. It's fun. You'll learn.
Well, the two things just from hearing that I love is, one, you didn't just tell your daughters they could do it. You did what I love as show, not tell, instead of show and tell, but show, not tell. You showed them.
Yes.
And as many as great things came out of the pageantry. And I love the idea that it's about service and all the confidence you can see that it brought in you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, since today's topic is about trauma, and I didn't mention, but your company is Heal and Regrow.
Yes.
Did the pageantry trigger any traumas that you had been working on that maybe before would have made you pull back from the pageantry, but because of your tools, you could get through?
Yeah. Okay. So for sure, let's say when I was preparing by myself, I was fine. Taking out the dresses, working out, doing this and that, I was fine. And the moment you hit that stage and you meet the rest of the contestants, mm-hmm. Yes, immediately you want to be like, I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And both years that I went for it, I got Mrs. Photogenic both times. I met so many people. Like, I was second runner up the first year when I went to nationals stage. So I did amazing. I did, for me being a first timer. Again, it wasn't something that I grew up in or whatnot, but yeah, it did trigger that. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough, not perfect enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know I read in your bio that you're a trauma survivor, which is usually we go through something and that's how we want to turn it into service and help others. But just hearing that story, and I want to get to, you have amazing things here for the men and women listening, but so everything you just said, somebody in the audience would look and be like, she's beautiful, she's confident, she's Miss Photogenic, they would never think, yeah, she's a trauma coach, she's been through her own trauma, she's survived, she's thrived.
Yeah.
But Heal and Regrow, that means you had to restart somewhere and regenerate. And so whatever you're comfortable sharing, what brought you to trauma coaching?
Okay. So when I was younger, I went through, I would say, several traumas. And a lot of times, because of the way that we're brought up and whatnot, in a lot of families, you keep everything hush. Things are right. That, or they shame you into, nope, nobody's going to believe you. Those are lies. You're a liar. And so you feel lonely. You feel like you're the only one going through it. Right. And when I got to college, I remember there was a group of like, come on out if you had been sexually abused, you know, and whatnot. And when I first started finally seeing a therapist and all that, I just was like, whoa, I'm not alone. I mean, back then, wasn't it like 1 in 3 in the colleges that was getting, you know, raped and stuff? And it just opened all this up. And I thought, if someone would have told me that, this would have helped me out. And so I think because of that, you know, and yes, I've been through a divorce before. And so I've dealt with, you know, more things along the way. I just thought, no, someone's got to be there. That was what wanted me to do this. Like, no, let's help other women know that you're not alone. You feel like it when you're being put down, when, you know, or when you're being abused, or if you're being hit or whatever it is, and you just totally feel so alone, you know. And let's say you have children, now you've got more guilt. Now you've got, and you just feel, I don't know, like there's no purpose, no why to go on and whatnot. And so that's why, I had gotten into this, but I just thought we got to help.
We do. And from sexual abuse to, there's so many things that are obvious traumas, like
Yes.
that are obviously, it is wrong. There's no doubt. People, once they know, they're like, they have empathy or sympathy, where the attention I want to bring it to is that trauma itself, or divorce itself, is a trauma. And let people know you are not just going through a legal lawsuit and separation and dividing assets and making parenting schedules. It's a trauma.
Yeah.
There could be traumas within that trauma, and awareness that you could have been emotionally abused and you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're dealing with a trauma and you don't even know you're dealing with a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to bring awareness to trauma, that divorce is a trauma, and the traumas that the secret traumas that could be in your divorce, that you just think I wasn't good enough, or that's how divorce is, or you've been under the mind control of someone for so long. We need to bring light to that topic.
Yep. So yes, there are a lot of traumas that people don't realize there's trauma, or even the fact that, I know we were talking about this before, people are scared of the word trauma. Like, nope, that was me. I just, you know, for example, let's go to a childhood trauma that you could see get repeated in your marriage. You have parents that provide well for you, right? They're there, they work, you're going to a good school, we're given gifts, but life was good. However, they do work a lot. So, and they sent you to, you know, this babysitter or those sports or whatnot. Your schedule is filled. There is there's a neglect there. There is, like, as a child, you're still wanting mommy, daddy, or whatever your caregiver was. That is a trauma that a lot of people don't realize. That's major. If you don't have your parent there giving you enough hugs, being there when you got hurt, and they're not empathetic to, like, oh, you know, you got a boo-boo, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. If they're there going, oh, suck it up, or whatever, keep going, you're a Johnson never, you know, gives up, or whatever, they're doing all that stuff, that is traumatizing your body, your nervous system. It's not allowing it to develop correctly. So now what's going to happen, you're going to get into relationships later on, and you're always surviving. It's these survival relationships. You're looking for someone to, like, fill that void that mommy and daddy didn't give you, or whoever your caregiver was. And now, and I was on a train of thought, and I'm trying to
One thing that popped in my head when you were saying that is, we get conditioned in life, or some do, to just think it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Mm-hmm.
Like, why would it's not that bad. My job is not that bad. My relationship's not that bad.
Exactly. And so you just don't think that it applies to you. You think that the only people that need to go a therapist or a counselor or a coach is people who have gone through the ones that we know, you know, a horrible car accident, a horrible abuse, a horrible people and whatever, domestic violence, but that's not true. Like, we've got to heal all those moments when we were a child that felt lonely, that didn't feel understood, or that you wanted to say something, but no, it got shut down, because that too gets stuck in us. All those moments you wanted to defend yourself when mom said, oh, maybe you did this or that, and you didn't really, maybe it was your brother, maybe, you know, but you still got the blame. All that sits in our body, our nervous system, our muscles, and comes out.
Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome. And as you can see, we have magically changed clothes. We're here with Sharlyn for part 2 of our trauma talk. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good seeing you again.
Good to see you. Last time we saw you, you were having a little tickle in your throat and trying to clear it, and it just wouldn't clear.
That's right. Doing better there now.
Good. Well, we appreciate you coming back to get into the meat, the nitty gritty of trauma, and how you, I don't know if we totally covered how you became a recovery coach. I know we were saying the pageant led you to pursuing it.
Yep.
But so if we want to jump into what a trauma recovery coach is, and your methods, or
Sure.
Okay.
So a trauma recovery coach is different than your traditional talk therapy, because we sometimes will include different modalities to help our clients kind of, how is the trauma affecting them right now? Are you getting triggered? Is it kind of coming up and showing up in your relationships? Are you arguing a lot? Is it causing where you don't find like worthiness at work? You can't speak up? Are you having problems just kind of people pleasing and you don't want to be like that anymore? So that's how we kind of work on now instead of back then. And then I personally, with my clients, I will teach them tapping. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, EFT. Good, yes. Just kind of like reprogram the body, you know. Yep, and kind of help them with their anxiety, any fears that they have, resentment that they might be holding on to, and even resistance and healing. That's a big one. I get a lot of clients who they say they want to change. Hey, I don't want to keep falling into these same relationships. I keep getting with these men who are like verbally abusive, or maybe they're narcissistic, you know? And so I'm like, okay, let's get through that. And there are some people don't want to look in and kind of see that there was trauma there. Trauma that is there from your childhood, it could be, you know, just the way that your parents raised you, bullying, you know, and I don't know if we spoke on that stuff, but yeah, just kind of any type of trauma. I will also do trauma releasing exercises where we will get the psoas muscle tired and literally let the body shake it out. That is really good. We'll do, I call it frustration station. My husband calls it frustration station. So that is just like us literally getting out if there's anger in us. Anger is one of those emotions that a lot of people are afraid to do. And a lot of my clients will be like, I'm just afraid I'll snap and I'll just lose it and there will be no getting back. And
a broken rubber band.
Right? And I'm like, yes, that's true. Yes, we don't want to snap on people, but if we don't process it, if we don't write it out, if we don't journal it out, if we don't go to the gym and get it out, if we don't go, you know, I know in offices they'll hit a pillow with bats, you know, or just stuff like that. Like, we've got to get it out. We can't just ignore that. Mm-hmm.
No, I have a question on the snap.
Yeah.
That I just thought of, because usually when something in like snaps, there's just too much resistance.
Yeah.
And so I think when people are scared of that snapping or not coming back, it's like you're at that point because you've resisted and ignored it.
Yes.
For so long.
Yes. Good analogy. Yes, totally. Exactly what it is. And that's what I tell them. I do this thing. do an exercise. It's like 45 seconds. That's it. The push the boulder exercise. And it kind of gets that out, you know, gets you tired, gets your arms tired, and then kind of feels like whoo, feels good. And I tell them, I'm like, minimally do that in the morning. If you don't want to go work out at the gym, you don't want to minimally do that, minimally do planks, get it out, because if not, you're going to be short with somebody along your day. Is it the children? Is it one thing? Is it your husband? Is it your work? One thing that someone does, it's going to send you like, you know, and it wasn't
getting it. So
yeah,
do it to the boulder.
Do it to the boulder. That's what I tell them. Envision the boulder, make it squish whatever you want to squish, whoever you're mad at, whatever, you know, just like envision it and push.
So what I'm hearing is, I love therapy. I love therapists. I love therapy books and self-help, but that really focuses on the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know so much, I mean, for people with really deep problems or things, you know, that this show is not for, I'm not addressing that. Therapy's great. But for people in trauma or in divorce recovery, I love coaching because it's facing forward.
Yes.
And a big difference I'm hearing in, but correct me if I'm wrong, in a trauma coach is much more physical than, I mean, it's mental as well, but it's not just sit in the chair. It's like the trauma is trapped physically in our body.
Yes, it is.
On a cellular level.
On a cellular level, you're right. And we've got to get it out if we are wanting to move forward, if you're wanting new relationships, if you don't want the same cycles to happen again. Yes, you got to get it out. Mm-hmm. And
now I'm familiar with tapping or EFT, but if for those listening who aren't, and we just kind of glossed over that, how would you, because I'm still amazed that it works. I'll tell someone, I'm like, I don't know, but if you start doing this.
It rewires the brain. So you enter in that negative thought. It always starts like, you know, with the 3 negative thoughts, right? So you bring that up so that you could feel it. You bring it.
What are the 3 negative thoughts?
So you like tap, you always start here first.
Okay.
On your karate chop point. And you will say 3 things like, let's say we're talking about anxiety, you know, we could be like, I am so stressed right now, but I still love and accept myself.
Okay.
And then again, all these feelings of anxiety, I can feel them in my body, but I still love and accept myself. And then one more time, you know, all these feelings of stress in my body. Oh, there's so much, but I still love myself. And then we start tapping the other areas so that we can tell the body to relax. And now we see how we're anxious, see how we were anxious about this problem, but now we can clearly like think about it. It helps us get out of the side of the brain where we're just reacting with so much emotions. It helps us to cognitively see it. So now you were just so good.
I was gonna say, I like that you can do it and no one even knows, like if you're in that moment, or it's been years, but I remember when I was doing it, it was a great thing to like do while I was waiting for my daughters to come out of their dad's house, like for pickups or exchanges. And you're sitting in a parking lot or in front of a house, you can just kind of
it just tells the body, that's it. Just tells the body to kind of relax, like we're not in danger. I do that all the time. Like if I see that for whatever reason, my inner child just got, you know, that another problem is happening somewhere else. Someone's yelling or something. Yeah. I will just real quickly just be like, it's okay. We're not in danger. That problem has nothing to do with us. And then like my body just goes, oh yeah, okay. And then I can keep going, doing whatever. Cause that really doesn't. But people are triggered by what's going on around them. Oh. You're even triggered by your peripheral vision, things that come in and you won't even realize, why am I acting this way? Why an hour later am I edgy? Am I whatever? Yeah, your peripheral vision picked up something.
Yeah, no, trauma is so sneaky because people don't even, like, it's one thing if you've had an accident or a major trauma, you know you had a trauma. And you know maybe you can't drive by that intersection again or something because it's going to trigger the trauma. Where a complex PTSD or trauma, we don't know because it's always, unless you really looked and see like, oh.
Yeah. So lots of little things can set you off. Yeah. Another things that I used to, have you heard of IFS? That is internal family.
Started thinking of the fertility program. No. That's not right.
That's funny. IFS is that's Dr. Schwartz. He created that, and that teaches us about our inner parts. That every time that we were wounded or we had a trauma, we had an inner part that was born. And so I will work with that, and we will pretend. Let's just say you were bullied or something. So now a part of you was born that wanted to be your manager. That like, I got this. That didn't hurt me. You know, and now you put up these walls as you walk through life, this bad person. And it's like, but is that really serving you? No, because now you're wanting love, or even at work, and all our people are seeing is this person that you're trying to act like you are, you know?
Yeah. You know what you're doing that I love and I do myself is naming my different personalities or archetypes.
Yes.
It works for me. Like just to be like you said, wait, I'm not set off. That's inner child.
Yes.
Inner child was set off. Or for me, I'll be like, okay, whoa, scaredy cat just showed up. Like he needs to go to the back of the bus. But how do you teach that as a technique to name the different emotions?
I had gone through some of the courses with them, and they had told us to teach our clients how to unblend. Yes. So every time there's something that's going on, write it out, literally make circles on your paper. What's up? Is it someone who's scared? Is it someone who's trying to protect? Is it somebody? And just give them names. And so we'll do that with my client. I'm like, just give them names, because now as you go forward with, confronting new problems, you can just like, oh yeah, that's right. That's so and so. No, that's
like, okay. I love that when you're like, oh, that's inner child. I mean, we love her.
Yes.
We protect her.
Yes.
But that's not, and I'm not talking about multiple personalities for anybody listening, but we do have, it's good to name our fear. Yeah. Because then it's easier to like step back and go, wait a minute. And we can love them, like name our goblins, but love them.
Yes.
And have compassion, but also go, you need to go away. Start tapping.
Yeah. Or like what IFS will then kind of talk about is that we will go back and we will try to heal that child. So that very moment, just by talking, literally just by, how did you feel at that moment? How this, I'm so sorry you went through that. Literally going back and giving that person in you, that time, that age frame, what it needed to hear. Because isn't that the truth? Anything that we've gone through, had someone just given us the words that we need to hear, that's it. It's almost like, I don't want to say problem solved, but it just fixes it and now lets you to go live.
Yeah. And so I believe we all have that. I've just recently read or heard most of the lessons we're meant to learn and work through in life. We get all our lessons in our childhood, like all those wounds, all those traumas. And that's not when we're skilled to deal with it, or the people around us are probably just like, you're just a kid, or you're good, or and so we all can benefit from this work.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Even if you're like, I don't have trauma, I'm good. Somewhere in you.
Exactly. And everybody can benefit from this. One of the things that my clients are always saying is like, why didn't we learn this in school? Same as me. When I was going through it, I was like, if I could have learned this at 11, or like, luckily I just found out that the like tapping, they actually made a book for children, and they're using it in some schools in California. And I thought, see, if you just equip children, I think adults always think that children don't understand stuff, but yes, they do. They're paying attention.
They understand more.
They're smart
and sensitive. And instead of medicating them or doing things like, I mean, if there's a frustrated child, if you taught them skills, what does IFS stand for?
Internal family systems.
Okay, internal family systems. And then I just thought of this question. When you did address the trauma in you, which we all have, how did that, you addressing it and taking care of yourself, how did that affect the people around you?
So my husband was one of the first people who like noticed it. He was like, you don't argue with me anymore. You don't get offended. You just go, okay. And he was right. Because again, once I helped cure that inside, the inner child, what not mad at anything. She knows that there's nothing for me to argue. When you have in a couple, when you have both of them who had a little bit of some trauma or whatever from their youth, and you're like spewing at each other, that's children. That's
children in the playground. Yeah.
Yeah, because the adult in us, naturally, we know to be compassionate, to be curious. You know what I mean? We know that. Like, why else are we, oh, but you didn't do this, but you didn't do that, but you, and now we're pulling stuff from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, things we said we forgave each other for, but we didn't. And so, yeah. So when you really take the time to cure, I guess, or to work on yourself, you'll realize that you don't get offended by things easily.
No, and trauma is contagious. Like if you're traumatized, you're going to traumatize the people in your life in some way.
Yeah, you're going to pass it down. You're going to
pass it down, or you're going to snap at someone like we talked about earlier, and that snap leaves an impression on them.
Yeah. It's that generational, trauma. Even like things that our parents or us, anything that we avoided, these worldviews that we adapted, these family mythologies, all that stuff, whatever we adapted, we pass that down. So let's just say let's say I drowned, and I had an experience with that. And now I don't ever want to go back to a pool or a beach or whatever. And now I raise my children that same way. They're fearing water, but they don't even know why. Yeah. Things like that. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I learned in the study, it was the Neurological Institute on trauma, and it made it just simple for me because I haven't studied it. I'm not a trauma coach, but talked about basically our threshold. Like if you had an injury on your body, like if you broke your ankle, that ankle's just not as strong. So it's going to get injured faster. And then all of a sudden you're gonna be scared to walk on the ankle, and you're going to start adjusting your life to having this bad ankle. But so basically your trauma resistance, your trauma is just way down. And like your level, like you go from 0 to 60 so much faster. And people are like, why? Well, because your trauma.
I think we discussed this. I can't remember if we said it, but like anchor trauma. I think I said that to you. So if someone had an anchor trauma, just one, but then subsequent ones started adding up, yes, you're going to be someone who just snaps. Mm-hmm.
But then I've seen it with my daughters where now I can go, oh, because I've snapped at them so much from my trauma, their resistance to me is shorter. Like they get to trauma faster with me. It's that cycle.
Yeah.
Because you're wearing out other people's traumas.
Huh? And I'm like, and isn't that heartbreaking to see?
Yes.
Like, because that was one of the things when you asked me, had I seen that? Yes, on my oldest daughter. So we have we have 6 kids, remember? So you have
yours, mine, and ours.
Yes, and then the little ones. And the little ones, they're blessed. We're older, we're smarter, we get it, But our oldest, we've seen that they react a certain way to us. Or when I used to call my oldest Layla, just calling her, she'd freak out like, oh my gosh, am I in trouble? And I'm like, no, I just wanted to see what you were doing. But that was something that my mom passed down to me, my grandma too, constantly thinking like, oh, am I not doing something I'm supposed to be doing? And, and it's just this like freak out all the time. But now we talk about it, I'm like, you're good. Like, I'm so sorry that you maybe even were on eggshells. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, while we don't know what we have, our kids are picking up on different ways. Yeah.
And that's why I commend people who take that challenge like you did and turn it into service, allow us to learn from you being so brave. And so I really, it's important to me to bring the issue of trauma to people, because oftentimes we don't allow ourselves to say we're in trauma. Divorce is a trauma. This is a trauma. And if you don't treat it, it's not going to go away. It's like a toothache. I mean, it doesn't magically go away. And I really ask people to know how much it affects the world around you. Mm-hmm. Like you fixing yourself with trauma, you are fixing so much more than yourself.
Yeah. My family, all my family has noticed, my girlfriends have noticed. And what's funny is you'll now attract different people. Suddenly you're not attracting people with trauma because trauma attracts trauma. I tell people that all the time. If you don't heal it, the friends and the partners that you're going to pull in are people who are also suffering. Sometimes people victim mentality, sometimes they are. Life's a little bit messy, life looks a little unfair, unlucky. But when you heal it, now suddenly you're meeting all these people who are like, love life, radiant.
It makes me think you hear often in divorce, people lose friends. You know, they're like, oh, I've lost this, I've lost that, I've lost our friends. And sometimes it's just a sticky, rough situation. But it makes me wonder, you saying that, for people that say stuck in that trauma, we attract people with trauma, but will we lose the positive people over time?
Yeah. And I would say I know like two friends close to me who, yeah, you do, because when you have certain friends that are growing, and all of us get to this at a certain point, don't we? 40s, 50s,
Yeah.
I mean, some point, you do. You're kind of just like, yeah, her life's kind of messy, and you just stop contacting.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're like, I still love her, but every time we go to lunch,
they drain you,
they drain you and you
drain your energy.
slowly, yeah, you hold them in your life, but you don't hold them so much on your calendar.
There you
I mean,
go.
you hold them in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
do. Because you wish them out. I honestly, genuinely wish all my friends or any, that are family members, because this is with family members as well. But some of them are just too toxic, just they drain you. They're creating drama. They're talking about other people. I don't want that. I don't have time for that.
No. So that's the flip side. If you don't heal it, you're going to attract more negative and you risk losing the positive.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I'm going to say something as a compliment, and I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I don't think I will. But so if someone's sitting here watching and they're like, yeah, okay, she's beautiful, she's bubbly, she's got, this life. And they're like thinking, how is she the poster of trauma? Not poster. I don't mean poster. I mean, how did you get into it? But I love, because the flip side of that, I could go, but look at her. Something drew her to this, and she is positive and beautiful and charming and have it all. But something made those two worlds shift.
Yes.
Somehow you went from trauma to someone who's like, she can't know what trauma really feels like.
I know what trauma feels like. Holy moly.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was in my childhood, it was number one, parents divorced. That started it, and that hurt major. I was 5. Then after that came in, because now you're with other family members, sexual abuse. So sexual abuse that happened for many years. I would say about 12 till they eventually went to court for all this in jail at 19. But the neglect, even I had a good family, my mom and stuff like that. Good. They provided well, but she could not say the words, I love you. Could not. Because why? Her mom was the same way. So I didn't hear I love you except for once a year, New Year's, because it was tradition.
Yeah, I think, I know I'm loved, but my mom, it's just, she doesn't say it.
Can't. Exactly. And there's a lot of people like that. They just couldn't. And that's what we needed, right? We needed touch. We needed that. So what happens is that now we're looking for that in boyfriends, in marriage or whatever. And we're falling prey to people who are just going to take advantage of it because they can tell that you don't have, they see all these energies, So then, relationships. Unfortunately, I did along the way get raped in college. And then not even just once, twice. And I was never someone like partier or like that. I wasn't, but it's the way you hold yourself. When you're not bold, when you're unsure, maybe you don't feel worthy, you don't stand like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so people can see the timidity. Yeah. Then the narcissistic husband that I tried my hardest with for 10 years. 10 years. I didn't want to do to my daughters what had happened to me. I didn't want to get divorced. So I hung as much as I could. Yep. But that wasn't good. I mean, that was a mess. That gets messier and messier and messier until my little one, or I guess my oldest, was saying to her dad, Daddy, Mommy just wants you to love her. mommy just wants you to love her. She was saying that at like 3 or 4. Oh goodness, just, just things kept happening. But I always had like whether it was a teacher, I mean, I have certain teachers that I like, no, I can hear their voices, or people, and they just were a light in my life. That's all I could say, really. A light in my life. Like, no, that's not normal. No, your husband should not be talking you down like that. Because if anyone who's been in a relationship with a narcissist, they can mess your mind up.
Yes, they
Yeah.
really. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's not until you have time apart. Luckily, he had to work in a different state. So now we weren't together for 5 days at a time. And it my brain was beginning to turn back on. Like, what is my life right now?
Yeah.
So
what
yeah.
would you say? Because I think it's very hard to heal from a trauma when you're in a trauma.
It is.
I mean, when you're in the trauma,
Yeah.
You had that 5-day break to kind of go, whoa, this
is toxic.
This is toxic. But without that break, it becomes so much part of our life. And that's why I'm hoping, that this show can be like, stop, time out, think about. So do you have any key indicators that you say, if this is coming up, these are signs of trauma or your body reacting to trauma?
Yeah, I would say if you're afraid to speak up, if you're having anxious thoughts, if your thoughts are circling and circling and circling in your head and you can't even sleep, you can't get a straight 6-8 hours of sleep, you're definitely, if you can't question, if you can't even take compliments at all, you can't believe that of yourself, you're sitting in trauma. Yeah.
I've never heard that or thought about it. But yeah, if you can't take a compliment, because I've been there, where you're like, no, not, but you're right.
Deflecting, and you're deflecting.
Yeah. You're right. We think of that as self-esteem, or you don't want to be conceited, or you don't want to be this, but why is that root issue there?
When you're being abused and put down, you're believing it. Those are those lies. When we have trauma, okay, these are 4 things that you believe: that you are not worthy, that you are to blame for your abuse, that you are shameful, and that you are powerless. So when you're sitting in trauma, that's why you can't take the compliment. That's why you can't believe anything better for yourself. Even affirmations. Okay, affirmations are a big thing. Affirmations don't work for trauma survivors. Why? Because, and I deal with this with my clients too. Why? Because you're having to say, I am beautiful, I am peaceful, I am worthy. And they're, you know what they tell me? No, I'm not. I don't feel that. Yeah. So no. So believe it or not, that hurts you more. Your inner child doesn't trust you because you're trying to say these things to it. And it's like, what are you talking about?
You call yourself out on your own BS.
Yes, you do. You do. And that,
no, this isn't.
And it's more hurtful than it is better. So as a trauma recovery coach, when we do our little recovery goals, we have to do it with actions. So if we're trying to feel that we are worth, you know what I mean? Or I'm nice, we're literally trying to just believe I am nice. At the end of the day, I ask them, write down 3 things that you did that went well, that would prove that you are nice. Yeah. Did you hold the door for someone?
I was just going to say that. People don't, it can be simple. It's just be nice, be kind.
Simple. And if you show just those 3 things, did you drink your shake? Literally something healthy. Did you do one thing that was healthy for yourself? If you did one, you are nice, you are good. Yeah. But you're just stuck in the negative, believing those lies that you aren't worthy. That's why we sit with the bag of chips and we don't even take the time to go prepare something because we don't feel worthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's be careful with affirmations. Be very careful with them.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's not a magic. They're not magic fairy dust that just now you are.
And I feel for example, this weekend I attended myself a like a coach kind of live,
Yeah.
thing, and they're like not beating people down, but you're this and you're that, and how do you not believe it? And in my head, I'm like, because they're traumatized. Like, this isn't going to help. Those coaches that just yell or whatever, that's not going to help people.
No.
You have to teach them how to believe it.
I think the flip side when you are working with a coach or strong people is to know really who you are too. Like if they're trying to tell you something you're not, and no, I know I'm worthy, but I don't need to prove it your way. Like some coaches will be, like if you're not going to charge this much money, it's about you and your worth. No, it could be about me and my ethics, or me and my morals, or me and my goals, or who I want to help. So you have to know too, if it doesn't feel right that way that they're telling you, if it doesn't feel right saying I'm really good, there's something there. But if it doesn't feel right when someone's telling you you're not this and you are,
that's not
leave that same voice.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has been amazing, and I'm so grateful that you came on and brought this. Tell us about where we'll have everything listed, of course, but just a little shout out for yourself.
Sure. My website is Healandregrow. I am currently working on an app. I was going to do a challenge, but then I decided, no, let me just release the app because I've had a lot of women right now. My client list is a little bit full, but I have a lot of women who just kind of need to learn this info. They don't even know, do I have trauma? Do I not? So I'm just going to release little courses on there, my tips. I'm going to guide you through tapping. I'm going to guide you through a few different things that will just kind of help you. And so I kind of feel like, I know women are real busy, some are moms, so this will be so that they can kind of do it on their own time, whenever they can fit in.
I love apps because it's right there at your fingertips at your time. And is your app going to be called the same, Heal and Regrow?
The app is called Breakthrough Babes.
Breakthrough Babes? Breakthrough Babes. I love it. And I am so grateful that you got to come back and that you're feeling better. And I would love to have you back sometime to just even hear more of your tips or your
I love it.
It's so much with the tapping to all the different modalities you can show and teach.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye.